bit late as always these days, but hey, what are you gonna do? Welcome, folks. Thanks very much for joining us. Like I said, the progress bar actually is going. So I guess, D, do that thing that you do. Go for it.
What's going on, everybody? This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over to be here. If not, you have to get out. That means you, little Jimmy, in the back corner. I see you. Oten Z. Back to you,
Even,
Fumi.
even little Jimmy and little Sally, whoever, little Tommy, whoever is little in the background, bounce the fuck
Little
out. Go
man.
watch Mr. Beast. Yeah, exactly. Go watch Mr. Beast or something. I mean, only if you're too young. Obviously, if you are just physically small, that's fine. You can still stay. It's like, view me, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, no. It's okay. It's okay if you're petite. You're welcome to stay.
No height limit
But
here.
yeah, exactly. Just no children. Let's see here. So I have just upvoted. Oh, here we go. Here comes North Star. We'll let him in because I don't know if
Well, right on.
made D a co-host. Yeah, I did actually. All right, we're gonna rename him. We're going to rename him. I could totally prank rename him the biggest rooster. North Star, aka Genetic.
Big Porsche, Christoph.
There we go.
Uh,
Boom. Comes. Folks, you guys are welcome to join us as well. The rules, of course, are fairly simple. Just ask nicely. Cheers, North Star. Good to see you. Just
there we
ask
go.
nicely. D will be happy to provide you a link. I'm sure somebody else will pop up in the chat and be happy to provide the link as well. But like I said, we don't pin the link anymore. It's not like a wide open door or something. So please do ask nicely if you're new to the show. Obviously, if you're a panelist, you don't really have to ask. Just come on here. If there were some circumstance where you were not welcome, you would definitely know. So just hop on. You're welcome to come on and talk about genetics, growing, whatever. We talk about all kinds of things. What else? Yeah, talk about what's new in your life. Here comes Flora. Good timing. Oh, super fun. North Star, I met Bud Kilowatt yesterday in person. I went to his house at an undisclosed location down in frickin' paradise, down in basically California's Mediterranean, down in what North County, I guess, North County, San Diego County or something, I guess he called it. Anyway, some of
Okay,
the most
cool.
beautiful real estate. He likes to joke that he's in the kind of a have-not portion of the haves because obviously Bud Kilowatt is not some multimillionaire, but fuck me, you see these gigantic mansions on the sides of these hills and stuff. Oh my God. But it's no wonder why the weather is absolutely spectacular. Like it's beautiful in the daytime, and then in the evening, basically after I was leaving Bud's, I finally had to be like, "Fuck, I got to drive home. It's going to be a couple hours. I'm still hungry. I just got to leave because Bud could talk forever." It was like I don't know, 11 o'clock at night. It's still wonderful. Like it's not too cold. Like you can walk out in shirts and a t-shirt. It's like just a little chilly. Like no fucking wonder that people love that kind of weather, right? Anyway, and Bud had a great garden that. Really lovely plants. Fun to see the way he does it. He does it very much. I think very much like you would see in a commercial setup. Basically, I mean, it's a little bit interesting the way they do the division of labor. So obviously, I think the commercial setup would be a little bit different, but also a couple. I guess Bud's never really talked about him, so I guess I don't want to rat on him. But a couple of cool features that they've thought about that help with yield and stuff. So it was really fun to see that kind of stuff. But anyway, it was fun to see Buzz Garden. What's going on with you folks? Let's say hello to D first. What's
Cool.
going on, D?
What's going on, everybody? You're right, Fumi. Lucky for me, I did get to see a little bit of the background stuff, but that's
That's
some
right.
pretty
I showed
cool.
you a little bit.
Yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff he's got going on over there. I'm smoking on Mint Kush. Um, that's Mint Kush, and oh yeah, of course. Hold on, 24 karat gold, and not sponsored, but these hard knock pre rolls. But it's Slug Pug Genetics, Protopia, and Lurch. Hope everyone's having a great day.
Flora would remember. I'm jumping the gun on the queue here. Flora would remember. Thug Pug and Gage Green are not friends, right? I don't honestly remember. Thug Pug. Now I'm remembering. Okay, yeah, they're not
That's kind of a
like
dirty
a soft
story we
spot.
probably shouldn't talk about right
Yeah.
now. But
Okay.
yeah, there was it might be now. So Who knows?
Oh, you think they're friends now? That'd be interesting.
I think at least Jason is. I don't think Jason has any animosity anymore. But the other guy, I think, does. The older guy. But I don't want to name any names or anything.
Right.
Yeah, that's not my story.
No, I probably shouldn't have. Now that I'm remembering a little bit now, and I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said shit. What's going on, North Star? Welcome.
Davos.
How you doing? I've been jamming all morning. I've made a nice batch of medible cookies this morning, some oatmeal scotchies because I was just about out, so had to get bacon. Tried that in the morning before the heat kicks in, and then I had made a batch of chicken stock, fresh chicken stock yesterday that I just canned this morning. So
Heck yeah.
got the pressure cooker out and canned all that stuff up. So I got a gallon and a half of fresh yummy stock.
What do you make the chicken
Now
stock
I'm ready
from? From leftover from previous. What do you make the chicken stock from? Leftovers from previous meals, or do you cut up chicken special for it?
Yeah, going to Costco. Costco roasted chickens. I go to Costco, get a roasted chicken. I usually strip it down to make chicken salad with, because I'll get I'll get a whole week's worth of chicken salad out of one of them things, and then I freeze it. So I had three carcasses in the freezer. I pulled them out, filled the stock pot up, some mirepoix, top it off with cold water, off boiling for about 6 hours, and I strain it, do another pot, and then today I basically get the pressure cooker out, heat it up, sterilize my jars, fill the jars into the pressure cooker at 10 psi for 25 minutes, and it is shelf stable.
That's cool.
Right on.
Fuck, was I just gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Well, I try to remember. What's up, Flora?
Waking up still. I mean, I guess I've been up about 2 hours, but still waking up. Smoking tractor fuel in my own strains. Picked it up by Amora actually is growing it, which is kind of cool because they do lots of big outdoor stuff in I think Central California. But
so you picked up your own strain from a commercial grow?
Yeah, I like that's one of my favorite things to do. It's that's one of my, because that was kind of the goal, to stick it in the rec market, right?
Yeah.
So I could smoke my own shit and buy a bunch of different awesome growers all the time.
That's pretty cool.
But props to D for having the correct flag behind him. I mean, that's cool. It doesn't have that maple leaf thing. and what's up, North Star? What's up, Fumi? Sounds like you had a trip to kilowatts that I missed. I didn't, because I just tuned in as soon as I joined. So is that what happened? You went to kilowatts?
Yeah, I was there yesterday.
Now, did you get the banana yet? You need to go get that.
I haven't yet. In fact, I gotta call them and see if they have it in stock. They keep having it on their website, but they don't always have everything on the website in stock. They told me, so I gotta call them. Kind of annoying.
I fucking hate that.
You need that banana.
Oh, I need that banana.
Yeah, banana's fire.
Especially if you have what the fuck was the other piece of it? Was it Jack the Ripper that made Banana Jack, or was it Jack's Clear?
Yep. I think it was Jack the Ripper. I think it was Banana OG to Jack the Ripper.
North Star.
Yeah, because they did a whole.
Were you part of that project?
That was my first tester. No, that was North Star. A good question.
Yeah. Did you have anything to do with Banana Jack?
That's for my Banana Kush. Yeah, I made that. That's Banana Kush times Jack the Ripper.
Right on.
Nice. Banana Kush is fire.
We were just talking about that. That was my.
I didn't have a lot of seeds today. I probably still have a few left, but not a lot. So not a lot of that got out at all. He's breaking the fuck up on me here. What the hell?
Yeah, the internet's bad today.
Grown it too.
Yeah, Banana Jack is kind of a fun one for us. It was my first tester for sub, and then I tested for sub for a couple, 3-4 years, and it went badly for me because I couldn't figure out why. But I think I got 2 5-packs, right? And because Sub mostly sent out 5-packs, I got a germ rate of 2 out of 10, and I was all paranoid. I was like, "Oh my God, Sub is never going to send me seeds again." So I wrote this really nice email and explained every single part of the situation, and he was like, "Oh yeah, okay. I don't know exactly what happened, but I appreciate your whatever the fuck he said, your honesty or your moxie or something or whatever." He's like, "Oh, send you some more seeds." Anyway, but then I lost that. I lost the banana jack due to it was either root aphids or russet mites. I don't remember which one. And so all these years later, I'm like, "Oh fuck, I want that banana back." But not only that, I just really love that banana flavor. Oh my God, how nice it would be, like with some of my
The banana
blackberries,
kush tastes
rubies,
great,
and strawberry.
very faint.
Pardon?
Right.
It was the banana kush. The mom plant was great. It was so finicky. I mean, if you didn't have it like dialed in, it just fucking hated you. I was like, come on, I got it. It was like great conditions indoor, it did great. Too hot in the greenhouse, didn't like the sunlight. It was too hot. If it was if you had it dialed in, it grew wonderful, frosty, tasty ass flowers. But if not, it just faded too quick, and it would just all get all punky and loose, kind of. It just shit it out really, really easy on me. I don't know why.
What was the
But
ratio?
it's fun plant.
What was the ratio though in the phenos? Did you see more of that or the Jack the Ripper?
I never even popped any of the banana jack at all.
No.
I've never popped any of the banana jack seeds. No, because I don't know what you'd find in there. I know Sub had sent me a couple reports of some really banana stuff, but
Was the banana kush the from Crockett, or was it one of the other? Let's see here. There's a bunch of banana kushes on here.
banana kush I got from North Star Dispensary. That came by way of Humboldt. It was just labeled basically banana/banana kush from a farm in Humboldt that I got it from.
I bet you it's
those guys at North Star, they'd spent a lot of their time up in the Tahoe area too. So I don't know whether anything to do with that, but they were up in the Tahoe area a lot, and then back in Sacramento, the shop was. They had that cut.
Yeah, except for this Crockett cut, they're saying just has a faint banana smell. That's not the one. What is banana OG?
Could have been an Oregon kid up there, huh? Possible.
I don't know if he had his cut out in Humboldt, just labeled that as banana kush or banana, because that was the two names they said they had. It was both given anything about banana OG on it.
It's so hard in medical days because there was so much relabeling going on,
Yeah, exactly. But it definitely is. It's come to banana when you have it when it grows right. It's like you're chewing on banana peels. It has lots of banana in it for sure.
I was trying to get to that. I was going to ask, has anyone had the banana kush that tastes like a peel? But yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's the majority of them is that kind of banana peel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I want some right now, damn it.
I know it, right?
This is D. The
That's
car.
Right. That's out.
The Batmobile.
You're to it. Right. What do we got here? Do they have the fucking banana?
Phantom Zone, bud.
The banana. Oh, that looks nice.
Of your strains, Joel, which one has the most banana as far as seed form goes?
Probably the banana F2.
That would do it.
I would assume that would have this. The banana Danish I have, the female I have has a lot of banana flavor in it. It's like this real sour banana, but it doesn't look anything like the bananas. It looks more like a Colombian. It's very sativa dominant looking all the way across, but it has a really distinct sour banana flavor that comes in with it too. So banana crosses I use, that banana flavor pops up quite a bit. So it's definitely still out there. Breaking up again. Shit.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had such a stable banana strain that we could really open it up and literally get like all the different flavors of banana, like all the different types of banana flavor? Because how do I put it? A lot of us are used to the flavor of like banana candy, which has a different flavor than bananas now because they were actually based on a different banana. But I mean, how do I put this? If you had like a really banana heavy strain, you would imagine that you could have this kind of everything from banana peel to banana custard, for example. I don't know exactly where the flavor differences would be, but you know what I mean? Like you'd have a range of flavors. It'd be fun to break it open and basically get like plantain and purple banana and whatever else, and get like 10 different banana flavors. Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud because I like banana, but how fun would that be? Have you guys, by the way, I was talking to Bud a little bit about this yesterday. Oh shit. Setup here is pretty amateur. This is speculation, so obviously I'm trying not to gossip or anything, but I was curious because we talk so well basically about archive. That's at least in Oregon, that's one of the gold standards really for dispensaries. It's one of the only places I've been able to find good flower, and one of the only other places that I've ever been able to find good flower on the commercial market was Treehouse Collective, and they fucking sell archive flower. So basically they're selling archive flower. That's why you can find the good flower. They have a couple other brands that are decent too, but the star of the show really is Archive. Well, so long story short, I got an email the other day from someone who watches the show talking about how there's some apparently serious drama over at Archive. Flora, do you know anything about that? And I guess the reason why I ask is it's like, fuck, that would be really discouraging if even they're packing it in. The implication was that they're kind of packing it in, yeah.
Oh no.
I don't I don't know. I don't know about any of that stuff. I know that there was an archive website. It's not the dispensary. It's not his main website. It's like Archive Seeds something. But it's the one that sells seeds. It's like a seed bank. It looks like an archive seed bank, right? And I remember one time I bought some stuff from there, and there was some major drama. And I'd contact Archive in Portland. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not affiliated with them." So like I don't know about that.
Maybe that has to do with it, yeah.
But I eventually got my money back from the guy, but it took like almost a year.
Oh wow, how interesting.
Yeah. And I was just trying to get Rude Boy. I don't know. I always wanted to try that. What's the parent of that weird OG?
Irene OG, yeah, right.
Irene.
And yeah, I have that Rude Boy, and it is a problematic plant. When North Star talks about finicky plants, like that is an absolute that is one of the, if not the finickiest plant I've ever had. Like
I've never grown
really difficult, really difficult. And the weed was good, but I wouldn't say, I don't know. I'm actually running it right now, so we'll see. It's the healthiest it's ever been, so I'm optimistic about it. We'll see, because in the past the flower actually was good. When I think about it, it really was. It wasn't like the best flower I've ever smoked in my fucking life, right? It wasn't like that, but it was like, it was really good. So I mean, I've kept it around for that reason, but I don't know. We'll see. This current run will explain a little bit more, hopefully.
Does it look like other OGs, or what does it look
like? It does.
Like
it's squatter. It's basically squatter. Yeah, I was expecting it to stretch more and stuff. And I have, for example, Triangle Kush. It's very stretchy and lanky and stuff. You got to support every single branch. This one is not like that. It just basically grows kind of squat, and I don't know, like yeah, it's not like a hemp plant, like a hop latent plant or something. It's not sick. It's just kind of fucked up. It's not a very strong plant. Basically, it just sort of sits there. Basically, it's a little bit like Mac or TO, just fucking veggies so slowly. So, flower's good though. I feel like it's one of those things that is great for a potential cross, because the flower, I think, again, I've only had it a couple times because it's such a pain in the ass plant, but it was tasty. It's definitely very like acrid, like it's been a while. I want to say like just very fuel notey, like very like gasoline notes, basically, and sort of the acrid, like really up your nose kind of version of that. So that's really appealing. But man, to cross something in there that would have a little bit more vigor and strength would be delightful. You know, Jack the Ripper, for example, or I don't even fucking know. Literally anything that
injection. That's what I'd stick in there.
What's that?
It's lethal injection. That's the good. That's the nasty one. That one.
I was going to suggest that the Frisco OG itself. That's really got quite the gassy acrid, and it burns your sinuses like the wasabi cuts that kind of really get you. It's almost like a gasoline wasabi mix. So that would be a perfect those two with that.
Speaking of wasabi, North Star, do you detect a lot of like horseradish and wasabi and stuff in a lot of the OGs? I've said that a few times on the show, and the guys have just kind of looked at me like I'm, talking a foreign language. I really detect, I guess I don't have an example right now in front of me, but sort of not so much of a gassy note in many cases in OGs, but really more like horseradish or wasabi.
Oh, certainly.
Or, yeah.
Wasabi.
The Frisco mail I used was that regularly passed that along quite a bit. The my Frisco snaps cut that I grew for quite a few years, I was labeled the wasabi cut. I mean, it was straight up like burnt your nostrils like we were tasting some wasabi. It was very, very reminiscent of wasabi for sure. And I've seen that passed on different strains where you get that tingle. It's like, that's got a horseradishy thing going on for sure.
I forget sometimes that it may not even be just like mislabeling. I was just thinking to myself, why don't people say that more? But we don't all have like a common experience. We don't have a shared experience for the things we're talking about. So if you're not like a sushi nut, if you don't like Japanese food, if you don't really go, where else would you find wasabi, right? And most American food doesn't have a lot of horseradish. Like I can't think of the last time I actually saw horseradish at a restaurant that didn't have like prime rib or something. Like there's a couple restaurants here and there. There's a cool burger chain up in Oregon called Super Deluxe. They only have like 2 or 3 stores left, but they put just a little bit of horseradish in the mayonnaise, and it gives a real nice kick to the especially the breakfast sandwiches. Anyway, but where else do you find horseradish in any fucking American food? It's crazy. So like a lot of people probably could go from birth to death without ever knowing what horseradish tastes like, right? Anyway, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but I'm like, why is it so unusual when I say that a line? I remember one of my lines, the Ruby Jack, basically in the 1001 Nights, had a lot of these kind of horseradishy, acrid phenotypes, and it came from this very kind of berry forward, like grapefruit or berry forward predecessors, their parents basically, that I bred together and kind of distilled, I guess. It brought out this horseradishy note that really surprised me. But again, like I said, on this show, people were just like, what are you talking about? Anyway, we need better not only language, but we also need better outreach, I think, with people. We have to have this kind of shared language in weed, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, something.
They probably
I've passed the flower around. I've gotten multiple different versions of what everyone thinks it smells like. Like it's all totally different depending on who's smelling it, what they relate to smell to a lot of time.
That's fun too, though.
No, they probably didn't know how to describe wine when they first started to figure out how to fucking make wine. Probably took a couple hundred years at that point.
No, this was a real thing, and that was one of the reasons years ago that I started my fucking tasting group that I keep promising or threatening that I'm going to bring back, but I never do. Basically, I wanted there to be some kind of a shared reference, like there was with wines, and Oregon. I'm not in Oregon right now, but I'm basically from Oregon. I guess it always had wine. Like there were wineries technically probably 75 years ago, but nobody fucking knew about them, and they weren't really that high quality or anything. They're mostly hobby wineries, if anything else. The real like winery scene started probably in the late 80s, really that late, honestly, and then didn't really get going until honestly the 2000s. And one of the biggest problems, I remember people talking about it, is that people just didn't know anything about fucking wine. Like they didn't know, okay, do I drink red wine tonight with my meal? Do I drink white wine with my meal? They didn't even know that. You know what I mean? Not to mention, I detect notes of walnuts and fucking kerosene or some shit, right? So there had to be literal outreach where they would do sample tastings, at grocery stores. They would do tastings at wineries. They would do wine festivals where you could go and get fairly inexpensive tickets. On it to this day, some of the best, like the Pinot Noir Festival in the Willamette Valley, that I think the tickets are still like, I don't even remember, $40 or $50, and you get like huge amount of fucking wine and whatever else. That's not cheap, I guess, necessarily, honestly, but that's a hell of a lot cheaper than going and buying 4 or 5 or 6, super expensive Pinot Noir wines yourself, which you would never do, right? Anyway, long story short, all these little events over the years, over the last 20, 25, 30 years, have made the Willamette Valley, especially, this like wine mecca. And I'm not a super wine nut, honestly, but I know a huge amount of people that it's very common, and you don't have to be a rich person, honestly, to be a wine snob in the Willamette Valley. Thanks to, like I say, even Trader Joe's has freaking wine tastings. Even freaking Costco, they used to, not anymore. I haven't seen one in a long time. Used to do wine tastings. You couldn't help but absorb a little bit of information from that. Yeah, probably also some propaganda and bullshit, right? Because people are very impressionable. If you tell them like, oh, this is a very fine wine. It could be garbage that you pulled out of a tap somewhere. And this is a very fine wine, and it tastes of chocolate and heaven. Like a certain percentage of the customers that you basically bullshit that to will believe it, right? Okay, that's part of life too. But the unfortunate part of weed is that we don't have any of that, and we I don't know, like, how do I put this? It's, weed's been legal on the West Coast for 10, 15 years in some places, and we still to this day don't have anything like that, It makes you wonder if there's ever going to be anything like that. It feels like the whole weed market is going to be kept in this weird situation where it's never going to develop organically. That would be really annoying because you're not going to get much information from most bud tenders. There are good bud tenders, but there's really no incentive for the good bud tenders to stick around, because even the best bud tender you could find still only makes whatever the wage that they make, like not much more than $20 an hour. I can pretty much promise that. Even with tips, they probably don't make much more than that. So I mean, like, if you actually were really good at your job and knew a ton of weed and stuff, you'd probably be better off doing something else. So they don't ever really stick around as good bud tenders. The dispensaries don't really see a value in creating some kind of a bud tender education program or something. They teach them a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Speaking of archive, some of their bud tenders, actually all their bud tenders, seem to know every single strain on the menu. They seem to be able to talk like a weed snob, basically. It's kind of interesting. Every time I've ever asked them really anything, they have an intelligent answer to the question, which was really shocking to me. Like, normally you'll just get a regurgitation of what they were taught, but they're like, they actually know, oh, this is a very much like this other OG that we used to have, and da, 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 da. Anyway.
Sativa, sir.
What's that, Flora?
Are you looking for an indica? Are you looking for an indica or sativa, sir?
Yeah, right.
That's what the bud tenders are.
That's it. No, straight up. And they'll see me like I walk in, and I know what I want to. How do I put this? I don't always know what I want, but I know the kinds of things that I want, and I know enough about weed that I can look at the weed and figure out the things that interest me, right? And then I can feel, okay, I know these strains, their lineage, I know these strains, and these are the kinds of things that will interest me. But then I'm sort of looking, and the bud tenders will assume that I'm lost. Be like, so, sir, are you looking to be more sedative or more uplifted tonight? We could give you I'm like, please just let me focus for a moment. And they mean well, right? But fuck me. Oh, shit. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, it would be nice if we could develop a little bit more.
And they kind of like want to rush you, too, it feels like, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the dispensary experience is not ideal. I have to be frank, and it's so far from ideal. I don't know that it can be fixed, really. Because it's just like it's some weird hybrid of walking into a Walgreens, and then there's a guy behind the counter that basically tells you which Tylenol you should get. And then hand dispenses the Tylenol out of a jar. It's a little bit
exactly. I think your idea of like the wine, like the tasting bars and all, like the real nice wineries, is more like going to your buddy's house that grows, like the farmer. And when you buy bud from a store, it is like going to Walgreens.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
They're just there to sling it. They don't grow it. They don't know much about it. They know it's worth twice what they paid for it, at least, and they want to make more money off of it. That's what they know about it.
Yeah,
I can't stand it.
I know the packaging looks nice, and this draws people's attention. Certain words or what draw the unwitting customer to certain products, and then they're happy with that. And then people that really care about cannabis, that would like to have a tasting bar or something, they seek out the people that grow the good bud and become friends with those people.
Bud said something interesting yesterday. I think before we were on the show, we were just kind of bullshitting before, and
Hi, Bud, in the
he
chat, by
said
the way.
that what's that? What's that, D?
Hi, Bud, in the chat, by the way.
Oh, right on. Cheers, bud. Good to see you. Well, I can't see you in the chat right now, but good that you're there. He was like, yeah, there still is fire on the market. He said this before on the show, but he's basically said that there still is really wonderful weed available, but there's basically always the same percentage. And he said a couple different things. He said, for example, that no matter how much you scale the weed, you're never really going to get much more of that real fire, basically, which I think is an interesting concept that we could discuss too. What makes that, and why is it? Because I kind of agree with him. I don't think you can really scale that really top end weed. But he was saying, for example, also that there is still, even in the commercial market, anywhere you find it on the commercial market, still very good weed, a small percentage, but in many cases, it either gets snapped up immediately by, the heady boys, people that really know what they're talking about. They're on the mailing list and whatever else, and nobody ever sees that weed. Or in some cases, the dispensaries probably have an incentive not to even show it. And that, I guess, is the speculative part that is, fun to discuss maybe, because I for sure have never seen the real nuts in a dispensary. Never, not once, not in the last 10 years. That's for sure. Almost any time at my tasting group that almost any of my friends that knew what they were talking about grew, almost anything they grew, it was better than anything you could find in a dispensary, which somehow I feel secondhand embarrassment, honestly, for the dispensaries. But I know that there are good growers in the commercial scene. So it's this very interesting disconnect that I wonder, like, where is the real fire? Like some people really charge premium prices and stuff. You'd think if they had the real nuts, that would be that'd be a draw. That'd be like a halo car for Ford, right? Like the fucking supercar drives down the street. They make 3 of in a year. Well, that brings everybody to the brand, right? But I don't. I never see it. Anyway, I keep talking. But what do you guys think about what Bud was saying?
I tell you what, I remember about 6 years ago or so at a dispensary after dropping off vending some stuff. I was there looking at the counter and everything, and the guy walks next to me. So what's where do you get the best stuff at the dispensary at? I said, honestly, I bring stuff in here too. The best stuff's at my house still. I said, most growers bring in some stuff, but the best stuff they keep for themselves. So I think it might still be some of that where exactly like the best, they have a really, really good batch. Instead of taking it to the dispensary, they start getting on the phone. Hey, we got a killer fucking batch in this time. Start getting on the phone, talking to people that look for the good stuff instead of taking it to a shop where they're going to get beat down on the price and everything else. And so at some point, I'd rather smoke it myself than sell it for, getting ripped off at a shop or something. So I'm sure it's still something like that happens today, still nowadays. And even if you have a big crop, you get a big crop and it's really, really good. You start getting on the phone, finding who has the best prices for the really good stuff. Cause you don't want to get, taken advantage of by the local distributor.
And I think that's very common too, actually, that without even really thinking about it, growers save the best for themselves, right? Like we don't even, I used to have way back when I had
spend
jars
months
that I
taking care of this plant.
That's it.
All this effort to take care of it. Like, I want the good shit for myself. I just spent a lot of time with this thing.
No, I used to, when I first started, I had this idea like, I'll have these show jars that I'll show off to other people. And so I would literally even call them, whatever, Ruby Jack and then Ruby Jack Show. And I still have a jar, I think up in Oregon, I still have a jar that I have the lid that says it still. But it was basically meant to be like the absolute nuts tops. And I kept the spears long. I trimmed them up and stuff, but I trimmed them basically, in a jar sized spear basically, and packed them all in there, and it was just like the perfect stuff. And I ended up never taking them to anybody to show them off. It was always just for me, and it was always just like every once in a while I'd whip them up and take out one of the spears and just admire it and look at it and smell it and then break off a little piece and smoke it. It was literally just a show for me, basically. It was really kind of funny to me, but I've stopped labeling things like that, but I still basically have that, the absolute the nicest of the nicest. I would never dream of giving to somebody else. Like, fuck off. What's going on, bud?
Yeah.
Oh, another day. How's everyone?
Doing good.
Doing all right. What's the good word, my friend?
Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, the week has flown by fast, hasn't it? Yeah, you were saying you had a very persuasive argument that basically there still is some good product, no matter where you find it on the sort of traditional market or the commercial
Well,
markets and stuff that really stands out. But it's hard
like
to
I
find.
remember, like during 215, there were stores that really tried to put the best they could on the shelf. And then I remember during that era, there were a few guys that started operating where they that wasn't their model, right? Because yeah, if you only could get a little of something that was really spectacular, it like disrupts the flow of the day to day of all the other stuff, right? Like, oh,
Mhm.
next thing you know, you have customers coming in going, yeah, well, oh no, we don't have that. When are you going to get that? All right, I'll wait because. And now I think in the legal market, yeah, they've really, it's just a lot of I don't know because I don't go to those places, but from what I observe or what I think, yeah, most of them, yeah, that's not what they're really trying to do, you know. And because I don't think
There was
that there's
definitely
like
some
this,
shops back in the day that if you didn't have like 5 pounds of it, they didn't want it because they didn't want to have just 1 pound of something really good and have it
Mm.
disappear off the shelf and people coming back all pissed off that it wasn't there anymore. So yeah, sometimes if
exactly,
you don't have enough of it, they don't want it.
exactly that kind of concept where, yeah, that's the whole idea thing. Like, I get it from like a business
Yeah,
point that
for
you
sure.
know, and
I mean, I'm just thinking about how there's been times that I've just walked out of a dispensary, and every single time the people are so baffled by it. It must be a very unusual experience for people to just walk out without buying something. But it's like a lot of times I'll go in and I won't find anything that's compelling and worth spending real money. I've talked about this before. Like imagine you're an Italian sandwich master, right? You make Italian sandwiches all day, every day from the finest fucking salamis and whatever the fuck. And then you walk into Subway and they want to charge you $19 for some fucking abortion of a sandwich, right? You'd just be like, you'd be livid, right? So
I
there's been
haven't
a lot of
stepped
times where I'm
foot
just like, oh, thank you,
in,
next time.
in one of those places and since 215 era. I've curious. I've thought about it, but the reason, like, yeah, I'm not going in there to buy anything. I'm just going in. I would just be like a window shopper, really. Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, yeah, that'd be pretty weird. I guess people do it, but like, I don't want to waste anyone's time, and I don't like small talk, so I wouldn't like. Yeah, can I help you? Oh no, I'm just looking. And I definitely wouldn't want to take a bud tender's time and ask questions where, like, first off, most likely their answers aren't even, yeah, what do they know? Or no, there are a few
Exactly.
places, like you say, archive, or they're probably in LA, some places that have modeled themselves differently, and there's some knowledge there. And I've always, like, I stick to my belief that even from the 80s when super good weed came around, there was a certain, like, right at this moment, the whole world, there's a certain percentage of the weed that's top shelf. Even back then, there was like that. The amount of weed is exponentially, at this point, it feels like 1,000 times more than there was back then. I don't think the percentage of good top quality week. I do my best every batch to grow the top of the fucking shelf. It just doesn't happen every time. You can shit. I do the same thing, same conditions. Yeah, weed isn't that way. You can do the best you can, but there are these batches where you're like, holy fuck, what I do? I hit the mark. Um, yeah, I don't think that percentage has changed. I still think it's like a well, I mean, if it is like a connoisseur thing, isn't one of the definitions of connoisseur that it's rare. It's not just endless supply of it. Now, the stores in the illegal market and the brands, they want you to think that it's just this endless supply of that. That's not
Yeah,
how it works.
it's like you're buying Coca-Cola.
That's what makes a certain wine. A lot of times that vineyard puts out wine every year. it's only that 1 year that their wine from whatever year. I'm not a wine drinker, but I know. Oh yeah, the 2017 bottles. Oh, those are the ones, not the 16, not the 18. So I mean that makes it kind of same with whiskeys and stuff, right? There's these certain years that isn't there like certain champagnes that are that way. Um, and it's a crop from nature. It probably has a lot of. We're in the same parameters as those things, and yeah, everybody wants to be a connoisseur, but if it can't be, it wouldn't be connoisseur if it was endless supply of it. Like the definition of connoisseur says it's a limited supply. That's what.
So, by the way, the word connoisseur comes from connoisse. I probably pronounced that terribly. Dommage, Christophe. He's in the chat, probably cringing at my every French war crime, essentially. But anyway, it comes from the obsolete French connaître, to know. So someone who knows, basically. A connoisseur is someone who knows, apparently. And the full definition was a person who has expert knowledge of something, especially in art, food, or drink, etc., and is qualified to judge and appreciate its qualities. In other words, for example, the mushrooms had the chewy, savory flavor preferred by connoisseurs. Anyway. The more you know.
As you were talking earlier about the wine.
The real definition of where the word fire comes from, but in my life think, what I think, yeah, fire, when I have a fire bat, that's the one where the usual customer that picks up whatever over whatever time. Oh, when one of those batches come, yeah, he gets it, and then the next day he's calling and saying, "Oh, is there more of that?" Because they've learned you better get it while it's there because it's like fire; it's going to be gone. Whoop, right? And then they grab more, invest, will do whatever because they know if they don't get it the next few days, it's fire, it's gone. That's like a fire. Whoop. And when people have really good meat, it's almost impossible to save it very long. It gets smoked up pretty quick.
It's true. What were we saying, North Star? Oh, he's going to take a puff. Hop on, folks. We have a little bit left. A little bit left in the show.
I was saying how you talking earlier about the wines there. You're saying certain years you have a good wine. I actually listened to a radio show where it's all about wines. I'm in the wine area, so they're talking about wines all the time on the radio, different wine-specific shows. And they brought on the creators of Barefoot Wine. And they weren't even in the wine industry, but their whole thing was exactly people had a hard time finding good stuff because it was year to year. It wasn't always the same depending on conditions, the grape varietal, the weather that year. And people had a hard time getting into wine because they didn't know how to pick a good wine. So they came out and they said, all right, we're going to not focus on so much the harvest and the grapes. We're going to focus on flavors. So they set out for a flavor profile, and they basically every year have their vintners blend different grapes to match these profiles so that year after year, every bottle tastes the same from certain varieties they put out. And on top of that, the whole part was intimidating in the wine. They broke the mold was the label. They put with the bare feet on the bottle with a simple label that was easy to recognize and see from a distance. It wasn't a bunch of, Valley, terroir, types of grapes, all the information on it. It was confusing people. So they had Chardonnay in a yellow bottle with 2 feet on it. People, that was considered a Tuesday night wine. So it was a cheap wine. It wasn't meant to be expensive, but it meant to be consistent. The same thing with dispensaries. They sell this bottles of jars of bud, and it's all labeled the same. People think it's consistent, but they're trying to get away with it being consistent and being a special harvest, something really good. It doesn't go together because, like you're saying, every batch is not going to be the same. So if they're gonna have a certain flower they grow different batches, not gonna be the same. Maybe they should label each one on the jar itself, batch whatever, so people can recognize it was a special batch they had gotten. As far as trying to make everything the same, I don't know how you can really do it with flowers. I can see maybe maybe pre-rolls you can blend and grind and have a certain profile that you can match every time, or possibly an extract so you can manipulate levels in your extract level after you've extracted everything to have the same exact flavor and potency every time. But then it's turned into such a processed item. It's not even, I don't know, it's getting even more commercialized. For example, now it's like turn it into Budweiser of the stuff now. It's just you're going for consistency of the exact same product every time, as opposed to being anything natural about it. It's just being a special product in itself and respecting the plant for itself. It's all right. It's harvest all this stuff and make these numbers and this flavor, and we can put it out the same every time. So you're gonna have people on both sides of the fence, people that like that just want to have the exact same OG Kush flavor every year from jar to jar every time, no matter what. And you're gonna have people that appreciate having something special every once in a while, and that makes certain batches better than others. Save it for a holiday or something.
No, I remember this was probably this was a long time ago, but I went down to one of the High Times cups or the Emerald Cup or something, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, and I bought some flour from one of the actually one of the better farms. I don't remember what it was called. It might have been Emerald something or other. It doesn't fucking matter, honestly. But long story short, I bought a couple different flours, and I've always really liked Durban Poison, so I bought Durban Poison, and I think I bought an eighth, or maybe it was a quarter, because there were a few nugs in there. It might have been a quarter, honestly. And there was one. It was outdoor. There was one nice, I don't know, 2 or 3 node nug, like what do we call them? Cloves of weed or something. You know what I'm talking about? Like a couple different knuckles, basically, of weed on this one little stem. And then there were like 2 or 3 other hunks. And they obviously came from different plants, because that one was frosted like fucking super dense. And if you break it up, basically like one little knuckle basically was probably 1.5 grams of weed. The other big one basically was kind of fluffy, larfy. It was still really flavorful, but it was fluffy and larfy and not nearly as frosty. And then the smallest nug I remember was not frosty. It was still very flavorful. It tasted very like piney, but not as frosty as the first one or the second one even. And I remember thinking like, fuck, this probably came from the same. I mean, realistically, when you're trimming something, like you throw the plants in together, and even if they get all tumbled and whatever, the tumblers are only so big. Like it probably came from the same section of. Like it didn't even come from like across the field from each other. Like if you mixed it all into like just some gigantic vat and then stirred it, yeah, okay, maybe you got one section of the field, another section of the field. But realistically, as you're trimming it and moving it through production, you're gonna get in any 1 pound of weed, you're probably gonna get plants that came from right next to each other. And even still, there was this tremendous variety in the Durban Poison. They probably ran clones. Like it probably wasn't from seed. It was probably clones. And even still, within a few feet of each other, these clones grew differently enough that one had a frosted nature, one was super larfy, and one was like compact and squat. It was amusing to me. And all these years I've kind of thought about it. Like like you say, it's almost impossible to have a single batch, even across an entire field with a handful of plants that are right next to each other. You know what I mean? Like much less across the field, much less across 10 miles, et cetera, et cetera.
Light levels, they'll do a lot of that, just because it could have been a field and one part of the field got light and one part didn't. Or maybe the plants were crowded, right?
It could have been a top and a bottom, something.
Top and bottom, yeah. Crowded plants, versus uncrowded ones.
Yep.
Did you ever get that brand again? Like buy that brand again?
I don't think so. No, but it was a decent brand. I mean, they had good weed. They had a pretty good reputation at the time. I honestly don't, because I don't live in California really. So, no, I don't think I ever went back there. Plus, it was outdoor. I don't normally buy outdoor, but it was like it was probably Emerald Cup or something, So. I think I bought Jack Herrer from them again, as well. Not again, but as well. It doesn't really matter. I don't remember. It's a long time
I haven't
ago.
seen any Jack Hair around in a while.
Really?
I'm
growing one
now. Jack Hair probably 3 or 4 years.
Huh. I really liked this one cut that I got from a very controversial nursery. Flora and I joke about this place all the time. It's basically the successor to Phylos. basically their dispensary has a lot of that, essentially stolen genetics, right? And quote unquote, maybe stolen, not stolen, whatever, right? They're pretty controversial. Anyway, I got this Jack haircut from them. It was actually delightful. It was splendid. It was lemony, piney, earthy, kind of jackfruit, like Wrigley's chewing gum or what is it, juicy fruit chewing gum. But it also had this really pronounced, especially as it would cure, this pronounced tennis shoe, like brand new tennis shoe aroma and flavor. Like basically like smoking a brand new tennis shoe. It was so unique, like chemical tennis shoe. It was so freaking unique. Anyway, unfortunately, I lost it in the shenanigans of my fall last year. But I've got a new Jack haircut, and so I'm testing it right now. I'm like, oh, I hope it has that tennis shoe because I haven't
the
got
same
it.
one.
I hope it's the same cut. Yeah,
I have a question.
go for it, D.
What does a tennis shoe taste like, Jamie? Can you let us know?
I mean, I've never actually tasted a tennis shoe, but I mean, like,
Uh.
how many times have you bought a new shoe and it has
No,
that
I
new
know.
shoe smell? Like, imagine the way that it tastes, because they say that most of taste is actually smell. So imagine that that's the taste, I don't know, chemically,
yeah.
I guess, like
I was just kidding.
chemically, but somehow not
EPA
bad.
foam.
I don't know. It probably tastes like carcinogens, honestly. But what's going on, Captain?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Cap.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to
How's
you.
everyone doing?
We seem to be fairly well stoned. What about you?
Well, I got home. I came upstairs. I rolled a joint. I put my headphones on, grabbed my phone, hooked you guys up, and I'm going to sit here and get high.
There you go.
Hi.
Yeah.
I got some, oh God, what is it? Motor Banger, which is Motor Breath cross, and crossed with some double OG.
Nice. Right on, Cap.
Yeah, too bad this is like the last of it. I feel another Michigan run coming up next week.
I can't get over how Ann Arbor basically is totally legalized. They're telling me that you could carry up to a pound, and if the cops stop you, oh, that's right, they're legalizing mushrooms too. But if the cops stop you, the only thing they can do is give you, I think, up to $100 fine, and then they have to give you the weed back.
Well, yeah, because rec in Michigan, you're allowed to carry that much, and you're allowed to have ungodly amounts at home for personal use. I mean, we're talking over 10 pounds.
No shit.
But
Okay,
in
Florida,
medical,
have the worst
you
website.
in medical, you can only have a couple ounces.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, Michigan kind of came out and said,
what it is it's
don't
basically
grow
money. They
over
want you to pay
1,000
tax. So as long as you paid the high tax on the freaking
But yeah, you could probably get away with having a 900 plant outdoor garden and not have the cops say a word.
Oh shit. Holy fuck. That's amazing. But not if it's medical. Are you saying it has to be rec for 900 plants?
No, just put up 900 plants and not worry about it.
Oh, I gotcha. So does that mean that like is Smiley setting up like 900 fucking plants outside?
No, I wish he was.
That would be nuts. I mean, how much room would you have to have? Holy fuck, I've never had a chance to think about such a fortunate problem. Or can you imagine having such a fortunate problem? Like, oh shit, I gotta find somewhere to put 900 plants. God damn it.
Damn it, where am I gonna put all these damn plants?
Seriously, you can pop everything.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit, you can pop everything. You can pop 100 of everything, of 9 different things.
That's what I always thought that, like,
it'd be amazing.
That's the only thing I thought that would be cool about having a recreational license is that you literally could just
Yeah, that would be a real special thing. What were we gonna say, Flora? Or not Flora, North Star? I keep catching
Wasn't saying anything.
smoke a ball.
Smoking a bowl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What you smoking?
You got some joints?
Oh.
Okay,
I'm
let's go.
smoking on some Buñuelos right here. Got two different pinos that my last Buñuelos harvest for a little bit. I ran the plants and didn't clone them this time. So fresh harvest of that. I'm just enjoying it.
See, I went into the rec place and I was asking the girl, you know, what these names, do you have the makeups of them? And she says, yeah. She gets on her tablet and she stops and I see this one that says harvest date. And I asked her about a couple of the strains and their harvest date. And I said, okay, tell me all the strains that you have that have been harvested at the end of January till now. And that's how I made my selection.
Oh shit!
I mean, it's fair.
$12,
Sure, you don't want
$12 ace.
your old weed.
Yeah, you know, I want fresh stuff. I want to be able to smoke something like you, like 14, 21 day cure after the dry. Something that tastes really fucking good.
Yeah, this has been in the jar for like 10 days. Figure it's time to crack it open. I had some yesterday too. I'm just fucking psyched. I hadn't had any fresh bud of this kind of bud since last summer.
Wow. Congratulations, though.
Captain sick of all the Thai weed.
We were talking a little bit with Bud yesterday or I was talking with Bud a little bit, I guess, off the show beforehand about how weed is a fundamentally fresh product, both in flower and hash, and even really in edibles. They don't ever really seem to get better with age, which seems like a weird thing. You know, we were talking about wine just a little bit ago. Wine famously usually gets better with age. There are some wines that you're supposed to drink fresh, but for the most part, they get better with age. Even many beers, actually, these days, you can age really quite nicely. You can age a lot of different liquors and bottles, all kinds of different cheese. You can age cheese, but weed somehow does not get better with age, except it seems like in very rare circumstances. I was thinking to myself, my friend Stevie, who I've promised, one day to get back on the show. Maybe one day I can actually get him back on the show. I can certify that he likes to smoke. So he's a guy up in Oregon. He likes to smoke a very well-aged weed, or very well cured. He calls it weed, and I'm talking like 2 year cures. And you would swear to yourself, I'm sure everyone on this panel will be like, "Fuck off! That there's no way that's good." Except he won or got second place at my tasting group. It was legit. It was a legit win. He had blueberry sativa, and it was a 2 year cure, and it fucking looked like it was brown and whatever. But when he cracked that jar, the whole room filled with this sweet blueberry. It was stunning.
Blueberry is
flavor. It was
well.
lovely. Oh my God. There's been a few times that I've had this kind of well-aged weed that really came out well. It makes me wonder, we were talking about this the other day, I guess maybe last Wednesday, about Perique, and how Perique is cured. It's tobacco that's cured in this really bizarre way. It makes you really wonder how they figured out the process. It's pressure fermented. You're like, what? No, really, they jack them down in wood barrels under tremendous pressure, under a few tons of pressure, and a couple times a day, or at least a couple times a week, they release the pressure and then really physically release all the leaves and literally like massage them so they're loose again, and then toss them back in the barrel and then jack it all back down and then let it ferment under pressure for like a year. And it creates, or even sometimes 2 years, and it creates all kinds of really interesting flavors in burley, which is a very bland tobacco. It creates prune and plum and blackberry and peach and cherry and all these aromas that you actually have to use in very small quantities. Otherwise, you'll overwhelm the blend. So most tobacco, like pipe tobacco blends, for example, are percentages, 30% Virginia, 35% burley, 5% Perique. And they're literally only 2 to 3 to 4 to 5% Perique, because if you went up to 10, the whole blend would just be like a plum. It'd be like smoking a fucking plum. And it's so interesting because the burley that went in was the blandest shit you can imagine. Because again, burley is like the power behind the blend, but it doesn't really have much flavor. It's a little bit like Arabica versus Robusta. Robusta has lots of caffeine, but kind of a shitty bitter flavor. Whereas Arabica is the one that when people think of coffee, they really think of that Arabica flavor most often, but it doesn't have nearly the caffeine. I think it has half the caffeine. Anyway, it makes me wonder if there's going to be some process that we figure out that can actually improve weed over the long term. There's been all kinds of people who've done, all kinds of different nucleations for hash that cold cure, warm cure, this cure, that cure, whatever, pressure cure, but it doesn't really help old hash necessarily. Makes me wonder if there's some process there. And the same thing with flower. Is there something that we can do that actually improves it? Doesn't just keep it the same, but actually improves it, because that's a big impediment actually to that whole kind of connoisseur culture. Because basically, if you can only get it that one time, and then you'll never get that weed again, like how do you remember that flavor? How do you develop that kind of connoisseurship? That's kind of challenging too.
Well, and like one of my pet peeves of California, and I think North Star is in that area, Northern California wine. You on the 101, you see the remnants of small wineries, some of them still operating, some of them stopped operating. We've done concerts at a few Nelson wineries up in off the 101. That model, I don't know how cannabis hasn't gotten laws passed in that area. Like a cannabis small type of farm can have their little tasting room, right? Invite people. A lot of that, when you go to those wine tastings, the whole idea is you sign up for subscription, basically, right? And yeah, a lot of those businesses have seen better days, and they realize, who you're really fighting in that area that doesn't want to compete is the wine industry, right? That's been operating there forever and it's threatened by cannabis business, I guess. But even the fact when you're up there, you realize that a lot of people go to these things and get right in their car drunk and drive away, right? But you can go from like, there's the bigger ops, but there's a lot of like small independent wineries that only produce so much. They have their beautiful, you can go to their vineyard, you can see what they're up to. A lot of times it's depending what time of year. It's, over the years, I've noticed a lot of those when I go up there have like slowly shut down. There's less of it. But that's like a perfect model. Why wouldn't cannabis be like replace or share some of that in that area, right? And if you've been to the area, I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but like, yeah, along the 101, and once you get above Marin or out in Sonoma, there's the little independent wineries that used to
everywhere.
Yeah,
they're all around the place.
And why wouldn't you just have your fields of cannabis, just like they have their fields of grapes, and
because in Sonoma County, or particularly, the politicians were in bed with Canacraft and several other large producers that basically X'd out everybody that wasn't on commercial property and commercial agricultural property. They just eliminated all the grows.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of years now, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, that like a couple things. Farmers market, I get that, because you'd have to have a 21 and over section and stuff like that. But like the winery thing, there's perfect properties that have gone into disarray up there as the bigger operations have squeezed out all the smaller people. They would be like perfect for that. You'd have beautiful cannabis growing. That wouldn't mean, it depends what you can't harvest cannabis all the time, but a lot of times when people came to those, they taste the wine. Yeah, they sign up, they pay, they get it shipped to them, whatever it is. Yeah, we've made no progress in that.
It's basically the way the California laws are written. There's no basic grower that have a location to sell direct to the public. There's all the middle people, the packagers, the distributors in line that have to go to the dispensaries for the retail locations. The way they have it set up is so they can dip into somebody's pocket each part along the way and get their cut out of everything. And it just fucks over both the farmers and the customers in the end at the same time, just to give the money to the middle people.
Cheers, everybody. 420.
Cheers,
All
folks.
right.
You know, I would think that a craft winery would pair up with a craft cannabis farm
They
because
would love to,
drinking
but they would
wine.
get just skull fucked by their local liquor board.
Oh,
I
they
remember
have already.
we were at actually a wine tasting. We were a couple friends were at a wine tasting, and I decided to go outside to smoke a joint innocently, right? Like I thought, oh, I'll just go stand out in a parking lot or something. And I literally had just sparked up, and the general manager runs out, and he was very nice about it. He wasn't a douchebag or anything, but he's like, "Oh, you guys smoking weed?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was so surprised, like how did he see that I was smoking weed and not just a cigarette or something? But no, I guess they were really watching. He's like, "Oh, you got to put it out. You got to put it out right now." And again, he was really nice about it. He was like, "Please, I'm sorry." Da, 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 da. But he said, like, they'll pull our liquor license in a second. If anybody's smoking weed anywhere on the premises, anywhere within the premises, if they're looking at the premises, if they fucking speak about the premises.
Winery does something with it. Coppola Winery does, bud. They had a gift package went out that had pipes in it,
Really?
and different types of bud they had grown and stuff, and wine glasses and all the kind of shit. Yeah, they go for all that shit.
Cool.
So every single state is different. That's very interesting.
I'm glad to see that.
Now, I don't know if it's
that's
something they were
actually
doing
happening.
for like an event, or if it's something they do all the time. Like I don't think they sell cannabis out of their shop. I think it was more of like an event type of thing. I've never heard of people actually going to Francis Ford Coppola Winery and buying anything other than wine there. But I know friends of ours, they work there, and they came home with a gift package from Francis Ford Coppola with cannabis in it. And it was all branded jars of Francis Ford Coppola cannabis. So I don't know exactly if it might be something they have for their hotels and stuff they give the customers, maybe as a cannabis thing. I don't know, but it's something. I don't know how they get around the laws, but
it's so hard to keep.
I don't think they would bend the laws
even keep track.
For it.
I think the fundamental difference, like, okay, wine and cannabis, not much different, especially when you think of craft. From the beginning, they don't trust that's what the whole regulation system is. They don't trust cannabis industry. So they have to have this whole system.
Exactly.
Because they think, like, right from the gate, from the beginning of this, that unless they, like, have a metric in this whole system that doesn't even work, we're gonna like rip them off, or we're not trustworthy. But wine pays its taxes, but doesn't have that type of like, well, we got to put cameras in everything, and you got to like prove that there's no leakage, right? Because there's trust in the business from the beginning. All these years, all this regulation is because they don't trust cannabis operators to be straight, right? Now, I'm sure even in wine, there's people that figured out ways to get around taxes and all that. There's always somebody that's going to do that, but for the most part, yeah, they do their thing. Cannabis, they don't trust us. That's like, they don't trust the dispensary, they don't trust the grower, they don't trust the distributor. Everything has to be like super regulated, mainly because they don't trust that we're going to pay our taxes, basically, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think if we can get cannabis to the point where we can have regular banking, where it's just like every other thing, then it'd be a lot easier to treat it like everything else too. They're worried about the cash that's not going to be accounted for because it's going to be paper money straight in the hands. It should basically be, you don't have to worry about all the metric bullshit. Shouldn't even be there at all. It should basically be, you have a permit to grow. You need to have that permit so that you're allowed to sell to a shop. And they can't buy from you unless you have a permit. All that's on file, so they know who the customers and sellers are. And there's taxes paid out of your incomes. And it's all, it's pretty simple when it's all going into a banking system.
I mean, even the thing, pretty sure, like,
cash.
that if you plant acres of or whatever grapes and are producing wine, you don't have to pay the tax like before you
Exactly.
even plant. You're like, oh, when you sell the wine, you pay the tax. Cannabis, like this
Hmm.
time of year, you have to pay the taxes before you even plant. You don't even have the crop in. Like some people have a failed
Exactly.
crop and then they get a tax credit because, oh, but you pay up front. Like
You don't have
that's
people.
like,
You don't have a tag around each of your grapevines. You're paying a fee for each grapevine. You have a tag around and all that bullshit.
because
They're
they trust
basically
me.
growing fields of
They have
grapes, and
some,
they bring in 100 tons of grapes in. They're paying, and they're making $80,000 off of 10 tons of grapes or whatever the number is they're bringing in. They pay the tax on the $80,000 they're made, like any other business would pay.
yeah.
They
And
don't
I
have all the
think
other different.
fundamentally, the cannabis industry is not trusted. Where I wait, there's plenty of other things where business is trusted, or where a lot of our problem is the last 5, 6 years with rec. Yeah, fundamentally, is they don't trust us.
I
They
think
need
if we can get this, get cannabis, maybe only Schedule 3 is going to be good enough. We need this to where it can be treated
Schedule
like
three is
a
a
regular
death
business, and you
trap.
can actually file lawsuits for all this extra extraneous laws that we have to go through, not being fair and be discriminated against. At this point, we don't have much. We still have a lot of footing because of the legal standing of cannabis.
Yeah, very famously, anybody that has a medical card has to basically disavow any kind of gun use. And if they do get caught with fucking a gun, oh my goodness! First of all, they'll lose their medical privileges probably from here now on. But then, oh my goodness, here come the gun charges. So that's pretty exciting. All just because of some
yeah.
arbitrary thing.
And I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
statistically, some of the craziest gun shit happens with drunk people with guns. That
Oh,
Oh yeah,
you have the right kind of a
name
gun.
a more iconic fucking thing.
guaranteed.
Yeah, drunks and guns.
A 30-pack of Budweiser and a freaking shotgun. I'm sure crazy shit goes down
Oh yeah,
out in the
isn't
hills.
that how
You
Oklahoma
can
started?
get
Like
arrested
crazy.
for some crazy shit because you were drunk. That doesn't mean you can't have a gun anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But God
nuts.
forbid you have a joint.
No.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this is like alcohol industry. They don't want over the years to give up a percentage of their business, not even 1%, 2 or 3% to emerging cannabis business. Like, oh, they don't want to share. They're quietly probably our biggest, like, their their lobbyists and the politicians they got in their back are doing everything they can to keep that from finally happening. Even though it's happening, there's data that shows that more people are smoking cannabis and less people are drinking. More people are cannabis, less people are smoking cigarettes. It's taking a bite out of their 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 thing. That's even why like I don't like there's been in Amsterdam coffee shops in cannabis, but like bars in cannabis, alcohol bars in cannabis, doesn't
They
seem
did away with that.
no, that's probably never going to be a thing because I
It
think there
used to
was a
be.
study long ago funded by the government that when people smoke cannabis, they drink less, right? Um,
Because it gives them the spins.
and a bar makes the most money from people that drink a lot, right?
Supposedly, Woody Harrelson has a bar here in, I guess, West Hollywood that basically half the bar is alcohol and half is cannabis. And you're not allowed to hold a drink while you're smoking, but apparently there's a line that you can cross. And you can
Just
apparently
set
put
your
your drink
line.
down and then go and smoke your weed and then go back. And I don't know, I haven't been there yet, but.
Find
Yeah,
the
some of these
line and
things are
just
just
skip
not
it.
common sense. Like, and like I'm not doing a good job of explaining anything, but yeah, I think a lot of it is from the beginning of legalized cannabis. Yeah, they don't trust cannabis grower industry one bit, not one iota. Legal cannabis, they don't trust that in any business. Yeah, there'll always be people
that are gonna cheat a
Try to
little.
get around.
Okay, but for the most part, you're gonna want to claim your biggest. Yeah. Once you have a legit thing, there's benefits from putting it all on the books, right? Like it doesn't do anything for the growth of your company to shuffle a bunch of money under the table, right? I mean, yeah, no, but ultimately, especially if the taxes were so high, right? The taxes being high only creates, like, I remember somebody explaining that when we came out of prohibition, they made the tax and everything pretty easy for alcohol people to stop being uh, bootleggers and 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 become producers. They didn't make it like so hard for bootleggers to to
Switch over.
switch over, right? Uh,
Mhm.
where cannabis, yeah, they made it almost impossible for you to get all that. It's so it's the cost and the everything you got to go through is too much. I mean, yeah, a lot of it I think is somehow the government or doesn't trust cannabis. So they invented and created this thing called metric, which out of the 37%, I don't know what percent goes to metric, a private company that sells a software and a system, basically inventory or whatever. That's all they are. And I remember the first few years, yeah, everybody was by the book because there's video. And I remember they would give fines if they saw crumb on the table or any little thing. Now it's 6 years later. I know many people that have figured out many ways around this metric because it's not even doesn't even work, right? Like, uh, but it takes a good amount of money out of that. Like I don't know what percentage, but out of that 30-some%, part of that goes to metric, a company, a private company, and every state has gone with metric. Even Oklahoma that sort of resisted. Oh no, they have metric now.
Well, they're
And
good at
metric,
greasing people's palms. That's why.
and metric is basically because we don't trust you guys to operate fair and square. You're cheating us. So we're gonna put cameras here. We got these tags. You got to do this. You got to show us your waste. You got to do all this shit. Oh, can't let people look at it. You can't. All that is because they basically don't trust cannabis operators. That we're gonna cheat them.
Well, look at some of the Mexican cartel people. When they have people doing shit working for them, especially like the women, they'll strip down to their bra and underwear and everything just to make sure they don't steal. Or even
Well, I
in
mean,
the
it is a
some
thing.
cases naked.
Yeah, those are.
That's some crazy shit.
Look at this. It says the new cannabis tax in California has been lowered to 15%.
What's that, Flora?
Oh, I was reading this thing on the CD TFA. It says that the California cannabis tax has been lowered to 15%.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've noticed that California cannabis is more expensive than Oregon consistently when I look at the menus. Like just consistently across the board, it's more expensive. How the fuck does that work? Like California that has sun all day long, every day, like fucking 365 days a year, there's fucking sun. Anyway, what's going on, Smash?
Hey,
I think it's the real estate prices and electricity.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
And the
why
tax.
that's why indoor goes for more is because electricity. It's expensive.
Mm.
Yeah, unless they reform the cannabis law system, the legal thing is failing. It's failed. Like it whatever it is it needs to fundamentally. I don't even know. There's lot of great minds. There's a lot of different ways you could approach this, but the way we approached it and the system we put in place, now it's okay. The first couple of years you can't really judge it. It's 6 years old, right? And I don't think there's a state or even the people that are deep operating in it, all they do is complain about the system because the system is totally fucked and that isn't working.
Was the
Instead of like having like anything, you put something in place. If it does, as it starts to mature, you have to make adjustments and changes and see, oh, well, yeah, we don't really need this. We need to do this. Now nothing has changed. It's just gotten worse. They're like entrenched in the system that I think most people on both sides of the coin can say it's failing, from the consumer all the way to the grower.
Yep.
Now, most of the consumers, the convenience, the fact that there's a store right on the way home from work, or where, like, okay, that's working for them, right? But as far as like all the way the business works, that's not, even that the product, by the time it goes through the system, is old and on the shelf, and by the time it gets there, it's dry or it's aged.
Yeah, they also don't store it properly. They don't store anything properly.
Well, that all costs money, right?
An interesting thought. I think you pointed this out last show, maybe yesterday or whatever it was, but about how if it becomes federally legal, the feds are going to want their cut as well, and the cut is going to be no smaller, most likely, than the state
30%.
cut. So if California's taking 30%, the feds are going to take 30% too. So now all of a sudden, the fucking affordable eighth that used to be once upon a time in 215 days affordable is now all of a sudden not affordable, and then basically either to keep it the same price, they have to cut every possible measure of quality. In other words, it's now, instead of indoor, it's now outdoor. Instead of this year's, it's last year's. Like on and on and on. It's going to have to be the cheapest to keep the same price, right? Or they're going to have to raise the fuck out of the prices. If they lower the prices, for example, if California is like, all right, we understand that those prices would be too high, let's take a cut and we'll both split 30%. Feds and California will split 30%. But they already say that there's not enough tax revenue from the cannabis program. So California is not going to agree to that. They're going to be very, very unlikely, I think, to take less cannabis revenue when they're already apparently getting far less than projected, right? But you've talked about this, about how they were like, oh, there's going to be 800 trillion, gajillion, fucking billion dollars every year from cannabis tax. We're going to have solid gold elevators. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have space elevators. It's going to be money raining from the sky. And that turned out.
Basically, their estimates that they made during the elections of all this shit 6 years ago was based on what we all remember as the good old days when the pricing was here. The price has continually gone down. That means the revenue of tax percent goes down. If pounds are only this amount at wholesale, well, then you're only collecting, even if it is 37% or whatever it is, I don't know at that level. But yeah, well, when they had those ads on TV talking about all the money, the billions of dollars it was going to bring in the state, that was based on like I think like more like 3,000 a pound. Okay,
it's based on like the police number raids when they raid somebody's farm and they get $500,000 in cannabis. And you're like, what? That was like 15 pounds. What are you talking about?
No, they weighed the dirt, they weighed the cars
that comes
outside.
Yeah. Now, hey, they have managed. I mean, the retail price.
And then it really went over the top.
Yeah, there's some great deals out there, no question. But pretty good stuff is still basically 50 and 8. You know what I'm saying? Like 50 and 8. Like that's 400 an ounce. That was like in the 80s and 90s when we reached that price. Now weed per pound is like way lower than that, but still, you go to a shop
Yeah.
and you want the good stuff, it's 50, 60, and 8 or stuff, you know? Like, so, oh, they're collecting that money, but eventually that's going to plummet, right? Like, in some stores have started to plummet it, where you can buy good weed for a lot less than that price, right? Well, then that's less taxes, right? Right. And they're in this only to make more taxes. That's it.
I said it last night, dude. Half of the CEOs and owners don't even smoke weed. They don't give a fuck. They just put money up.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of them stopped. A lot of that stopped because a lot of them have gotten lost a lot of fucking money chasing this thing over the
Yep.
years. Like, oh, they got in with, oh man, this is great. We're gonna fucking be rich in a few years, and it for most of it didn't work out that way, right? There was a lot of huge losses by investors, but
I
they're
can tell
used
you
to
right
that.
now, in the area I live in, I've noticed since 2018 when we went legal here in California, recreational. It has definitely affected the local communities as a lot of small businesses have gone under. A lot of small restaurants and things like that have now gone out of business before
Yeah.
and right after COVID. That wasn't strictly related to COVID. It was a lot of the people that in the area that grew and supplied local dispensaries were families. Family farms wasn't that big of a place, and they pretty much zoned it out. Anyone that lives on their property pretty much cannot grow now in Sonoma County. You have to have a commercial property or agricultural property to grow
Yeah,
on
it's gotta be
and hand it to
farmland.
the bigger businesses. And now all
I
those
saw
small businesses
data.
that relied on the local people with extra spending cash to go and spend their money everywhere, they're not having the extra
Yeah,
cash to go spend their money
and
at the
they
shops
know that
anymore.
because there's data
It's
that shows
everywhere.
in Humboldt, Mendocino, over the last 6 years, the sales
Yeah.
tax collected is plummeting, right?
I've
The
seen
first half of this year, Humboldt
6
and Mendocino
restaurants and 3 grocery
have
stores
lost.
within like 5 miles of my house closed down in the past 6 years.
The
Yeah,
grocery
because
stores
they
are
took
gonna
the money
they're gonna
away
keep
from
closing
the
down.
people and the
Yeah.
workers. And like even in that article, they're saying, yeah, all the trimmers that used to come here, they needed to buy jackets and boots and pizza
Yep.
and this
They
and
all
that.
spent money.
This base huge sales tax that those counties relied on over the last few years. That sales tax has gone
Yep.
down. That's a bigger loss. Like in this article, they said the amount of licensed cannabis tax doesn't even come close to the amount of sales tax that those counties are losing because, like,
And on top of that, a lot of the revenue they take in does not go right back into the local community. Some of that revenue goes back to the corporate headquarters, so it's not being recycled back into the community where it's comes
The
from.
thing with the grocery stores is times are changing. You can get almost everything online. When grocery stores first opened, you couldn't go online and just get it shipped to your door. You had to physically, and most of us know there wasn't in a grocery store. You went to the reef store or the aquarium store, and that's kind of where I got all my stuff. But as times changed, now I can order directly from most companies right to my door. Why go through a middleman?
Well, I live in an area, North County, San Diego. I was good friends with Mark. He owned the San Marcos Hydro store. Dude, you'd have to get in line. That place was the busiest shop, and there was 4 or 5 others in the area.
Oh
Road
yeah, I had a
generation
shop that was
paid
literally a
him
mile from
fine.
my house.
Like,
It's
he
so
never
convenient
have
to run down
work
and grab
another
stuff.
day in his life. Road Generation bought his store a few years ago. One day to the next, it was Road Generation, right? Over the last few years, my friend Zach managed the place. It was dead. I don't know what they did. There's still people, but like you say, people want to go online. One day to the next, there was not even an announcement. Oh, they closed that store just last week. Yeah, we're a cash business. Yeah, we have cash. That's why we'd go to the store instead of order online, period. Right? Yeah, I'd have to drive like 40 miles. I have to drive either to Temecula or all the way downtown where there's 1 or 2 stores still. Like, and that was a thriving hydro store. as we've had to deal with what we're going to do about that, I'm like, yeah, what happened? Where's everybody else getting their stuff? And like Smash says, yeah. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're searching like prices, and, some places might charge a couple dollars more, but if you buy this amount, it's free shipping. The other place, oh yeah, the price is kind of low, but you're going to have to pay like full day shipping. And,
even with my GrowGen doesn't even carry all the stuff though. Like they only carry Hawthorne stuff. GrowGen, right? They only carry what Hawthorne carries,
Yeah, they got deals with Hawthorne and shit. Like they only carry certain stuff, GrowGen. But even with my Costa Maine, like my soil, I go to the store, they want $35 for a 1.5. I go to Costa Maine, I get it for $15. Like that's a crazy upcharge. That's what, 100% almost. You're muted, Fume.
But like that's and then again, just the same thing where a mom and pop business, one of the ones that still survived over these years, hydro stores, right, are gone, like basically going away.
Well, I was just going to say to Smash, actually, believe it or not, that's not really that significant of an upcharge. I mean, that's basically wholesale costs for most people. 50% of the retail price, that's kind of common. Sometimes it's 40%, sometimes it's 60%. For some products like cars, famously, it's like 92% of the sale price. The dealerships really don't make anything on the sale price. They try to fuck you on the service and the warranty and the undercoating and all the goddamn stuff, right? The sunroof and all that kind of stuff. But the actual car itself, fuck, they make a couple percent usually, right? So if you, as a restaurant, right, like what if you can get the ingredients for a cheeseburger for $5, you sell the cheeseburger for $10 if you can. You can't really sell it for more. You would if you could, but basically you can't really sell it for much less because you can't keep the lights on. What were we gonna say, bud?
My mindset's a little different. Like if I opened up a grocery store and I bought it for, let's say I bought a pallet of soil for $15 a bag, I'd undercut as much as I possibly could. I'd charge 25.
You might very well go out of business really fast too. Don't forget the real estate is expensive.
So like in that kind of situation, when there's multiple stores, yeah, somebody's going to offer it for this, and that's going to force the other guy this. Once a company like Grow Generation and other companies, because at this point, doing the research, searching where to get our stuff, which, okay, I use G8. G8, you can get it next day at every Home Depot, every Lowe's, every True, whatever the hardware, because they're part of Hawthorne and they got distribution there. They don't stock it in the store, but click online and boom, it will be delivered to what store you want, right? That price is, I'm not paying that for that, right? Like you say, that's like not double, but it's like, wow, that's full did, right? Where even the hydro store I'm talking about, I was a customer there for over 20 years. Yeah, I had a 35% discount. So like whatever it said on the thing, boom, that all came off. That was he ran that with certain customers to keep them from going to other stores, right? Like that's healthy business, capitalism, okay? All this massive conglomeration is taking that away from us. Like the same thing with all the grocery stores. All the brands of grocery stores are basically going to be under one company, right? Well, then there's no Albertsons and Bonds aren't going to compete against each other because they are the same place.
I'd like to interrupt here because I just realized how fortunate I am, frankly, to have disconnected from any of that, honestly, through fully organic growing. I'm not going to sit here and blow my own horn or something. I'm going to actually try to blow the horn of organic growing in the sense that I don't have to give a single fuck about Hawthorne or fucking GrowGen or any of these goddamn fucks. I really don't care. I get my barley from Steinbart's up in Portland. I could get it from someone else if I wanted to. I could literally grow my barley. I accidentally grew some barley in the yard I guess over the winter, honestly, because it's basically ready to harvest now. It's only a couple of stalks, but I realized, oh fuck, that was easy. I could totally grow like a whole little area of barley or whatever, and then basically essentially malt it. It's really easy to do, and then you can steam kill it. Basically, it's really easy to look it up online to make malted barley. Basically, anyway, but it's really easy to buy. You can buy it on Amazon, whatever the fuck. It's literally just malted barley. It's not some specific brand or whatever. I buy kelp. Okay, granted, in Portland it's easy, it concentrates, but I mean, like you can buy kelp here in town. There's Animal Hardware down the street on Highland. Right next to this really cool building that's this mysterious Hollywood storage building that has a really cool story. Apparently the chariot for Ben-Hur is there. But anyway, Anna Walt has kelp. You can buy it there. Every town has a place where you can buy fucking unbranded, just fucking ground kelp. A couple other things. And then honestly, the rest of it, you just do yourself. Like, for example, fish hydrolysate, that's kind of hard to make up for. So a place like Anna Walt basically has fish hydrolysate. But other than that, dude, I don't have to give a fuck. I don't care about a Hawthorne. I don't care that they could double, triple, quadruple. They could quintuple or more the prices. They could raise them by a factor of 100, and I wouldn't give a fuck.
No, and
Like,
that's
I would still laugh. But no, seriously. And
like,
people like,
but that's
okay,
been
I
a
understand.
trend over
Okay,
the
go
last
ahead.
few years, where mainly because there used to be
Yeah,
like,
just let him-
they could charge a
Yep.
lot for these products because we got a lot for our product. So a lot of these, jugs and all the stuff at the hydro store was overpriced from the gate, right?
Of course.
One obstacle, like, wow, you don't need to spend, X amount. Now, I've been doing the same thing for a long time. So I need cases of fucking Grodan Hugos, hundreds of them. I need 5 gallons of this, 5 gallons of that, 5 gallons of this, right? Yeah, I see the change. If I want to eliminate this headache I'm going through, right? Yeah, I know the methods. I could make it go.
Let's not forget, if you want to be discreet, that
all the
there's
way to
almost
King and F
nothing
if
less
you wanted
discreet.
to, and a lot of people have gone that way, which I'm sure that's one of the reasons hydro stores are closing, and even some of these established companies that have been around forever, jugs, nutrients and all that, they're declining. Their best days was long ago. They're making less stuff.
I gotta cut out, everybody. I gotta get some back to some
Cheers,
work
North
I
Star.
have to
Good
take care
to
of.
see you.
So
I think that's good timing. We
thanks
might
for having
bounce
me
take a
on.
couple minutes too.
Had a good
Good to see you.
time. Take care.
Yeah, man. Cheers. Good to see you. I think he has good timing. We should probably head out here soon too.
Yeah.
What was I gonna just say to respond to Bud? Now I already forget.
Well, before I saw one last thing is, we're talking about it, and more people. It's up to us to make the changes. Like if we don't stand up, they're just gonna steamroll us, dude. And even if we stand up, they're probably gonna steamroll us. But at least, like, fuck, you can't just roll over and fucking give up.
No, I agree. And actually, another reason why I think people should look at a true organic growing, because even indoors, I saw your setup, Bud, and I was kind of laughing to myself because I was like, he could totally do basically how I do it. One of these days I should finally start showing a little bit how I do my setup. You wouldn't lose anything in performance. You wouldn't lose anything in yield. You definitely would not lose in yield. I can pretty much promise on that. What was I going to say? You wouldn't lose on time. I think you would basically veg the same amount of time, honestly, and then you would basically gain. I'm not trying to convince Bud because he's going to do it the way he does, but like it's worth saying. You could do the same setup, and you could basically save every time he throws away his Grodan cubes. He's got a he tries to be discreet. You can't really be discreet throwing away your Grodan cubes. They're expensive. Every time he has to basically do his veg, he has to buy a new whole goddamn setup of rock wool, on and on and on. The nutrients, etc., etc., etc. It all costs a ton of money. Whereas organic soil, gosh, it lasts for years and it gets better with time. You amend it over time, on and on and on. You could get the same 6-foot tall plants, like, oh, it's worth evangelizing more. Why do I get the feeling that Bud is talking to us very heatedly, but is muted now? Oh no, he's
I
talking
think
to
he's
somebody else.
talking to someone else.
Okay. I met his dog yesterday. At first, the dog was like, "Fuck you, man. Who are you?" But eventually, the dog was like, "All right, you're cool." So that was cool. Herbie,
The little one,
cool dog. Yeah, yeah,
the white one, white and black, I think.
yeah. That's the one. Fluffy,
Yeah.
like a cotton ball.
That's his baby.
Yeah.
The one you don't want to
Well,
meet
gentlemen,
and going down the hallway is one of his bigger dogs because it likes to bite people in the ass. He says it's a nip, but damn, that was a really big nip.
I had a dog like that. He meant well, like if you weren't supposed to be there, he might just give you a bite on the ass cheek. But it was pretty funny. One time, there was like college kids, whatever, rented a house across the street, and this girl came across the street, and she must have been like, I don't know, 20, 21 or something, wearing like a thin summer dress because it was summer, and she was very nice. She wanted to borrow her lawnmower or something, and my dog was not happy about it in any stretch. Like, so he was like, you need to fuck off. The whole conversation is like, you need to fuck off. You need to fuck off. You need to fuck off. Bark, 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 bark. Anyway, we're trying to get him to be quiet because normally he was fine. Normally he was not a problem with that kind of stuff. But something about her, he was not a big fan. Anyway, as soon as she turned around, because we were like, oh yeah, I'll bring the lawnmower right over. She turns around to walk back to her place, and boom, he fucking grabs just a mouthful of ass cheek. Oh my god, we were so lucky that he didn't draw blood or something. And she laughed about it. She's like, oh no.
You got
That
lucky.
dog was yeah, that wasn't even the only time that he bit someone on the ass cheek, but again, he meant well.
Set up. Finally got my chest mount set up.
Is that for your OnlyFans?
Yeah.
What's this for garden show-offs?
That, and I'm trying to figure out, like, I don't like holding my phone and like taking videos. I just want something to be videotaping.
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
So I think this weekend I'm just gonna go and turn this on and just have it running, and I'll just use my phone for
Everywhere you go, you should just have a couple of ski poles and just pretend that you came from a ski mountain and you're lost. But like a helmet, goggles, and ski poles. No boots, no skis, because that would be really awkward and expensive also. And you'd end up fucking them up. You don't want to do that. But yeah. And people will be like, wait, is he lost or what? But he doesn't have skis, bro. What's going on?
I am going to Maine.
You see, you got to do that in Maine. But in Maine, you got to have like a fisherman get up. You got to have like full on, I don't know, what do fishermen wear? Like overalls or some shit. I don't know, captain hat. There you go. Waders. But the waders have to be like.
You have to get out of the car with them on. That's the whole thing.
I was just thinking like one of them has to be bitten off with a shark, but like your foot is still there. Like but you're barefoot. Like basically the shark grabbed you and ripped your clothes off and stuff, but didn't draw blood. 1 in a million. I'm goofy today. I smoked cheetah piss first from Bud Kilowatt that we know well here, and then I smoked some apples and bananas. That was the last one, but I supercharged the apples and bananas with something. I don't remember what he said it was. It was something of Bud's. It was kind of comical. He has a large jar of. I think this is technically diamonds and sauce, actually, but it's like well nucleated because it's a couple years old. He was like, nobody fucking buys this stuff anymore. I guess like they used to sell it all the time, but now nobody even fucking wants it. Like he was saying how even bubble hash wholesale is like $4 a gram or something. You know, it
Yeah.
used to be wholesale $60 a
50.
gram for fucking bubble hash. Can you imagine? So
People still charge
$4 for bubble hash. Why would you even fuck with distillate if you can get bubble hash for $4 a gram?
People are
What's that,
still
man?
charging $30 for a gram of diamonds and sauce.
See, that's the real upcharge right there. You were talking about I can't think of the word. 100. No, that's not 100%. 50% upcharge. That's reasonable for wholesale stuff, for wholesale to retail, but like 85, 90% upcharge, no fun. That's no fun. That's like luxury upcharge. Speaking of which, that's the cost. It turns out people were super surprised. I was like, why are you surprised by this? The luxury brands like Louis Vuitton and freaking Prada and Fendi and all these fuckers, right? That they have stores on Beverly Drive or Rodeo Drive or whatever. They charge, $6,000 for a pair of fucking, assless chaps or whatever. But the cost to make it is like $50, basically. It's something like 5% of the retail price. Basically, they pay oftentimes sweatshop workers, like what do they say? Notably in Italy, Chinese laborers, like illegal Chinese laborers, they pay them, pennies on the dollar, what you pay a regular worker, but they technically still get to say made in Italy because it was made in the sweatshop in Italy, and then they upcharge it to, like I said, several $1,000s.
So this is the oil I got that smells like Home Depot's gross section. It looks good.
And once again, like the Home Depot grow section, what does it smell?
Like
It's always
Miracle Grow.
like chemicals. Okay. Like
It's got that Miracle Grow.
aloe plants and chemicals or some shit.
It smells like Miracle Grow. It really does.
I don't remember what Miracle Grow smells like.
Chemicals.
I don't remember liking it, but I don't think it was
So I don't even know what to
aroma
do.
of whatever the shit.
Give it away.
I'm probably gonna end up doing that because my buddy will smoke it. I don't like it, dude. I can't stand it. It comes through on the smoke. It's not just the smell. And it makes it like stinks up my fucking rig and everything. Like the one hit of it, if I try to dab, like I have a little bit of chopped cookie. If I try to dab this after that, it makes my whole rig smell.
That's what she said.
Alcohol and salt and sea salt.
That's the way. Well, gentlemen, let's say our
Adios.
good evenings or adioses. Exactly right. Go for it, Captain.
Well, thanks for having me on, Fumi. Everybody out in chat, thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll see you later down the road. Peace out.
Sounds like a good plan, Captain. Go for it, bud. Smash, you want to go next? Because Bud is still animatedly chatting to someone in the background.
I hope everyone's having a great. Hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, 4 Smash 20 on everything. Saturday, I'll be up in Maine at the bonfire. If you're around, hit me up. I'll give you some directions. Be safe.
Yeah, man. Cheers, Smash. Hey, bud. Bud Kilowatt, looks like you're back. Good evening.
I'll talk to you guys Saturday. Get some work done today. Shit.
Sweet. Right on, man. Good to see you.
Have a good one, everyone.
Later, bud. Go for a D-Zombie with the cool glasses.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody in chat, and always Shimador for putting this shit together and doing with all the bull crap that he has to deal with. I will be doing a show Saturday, the Takeover Show. Be sure to tune in 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 10 o'clock Pacific if we can talk right. And also, don't forget to check me out. I do a live show, pre-shows on my channel at dzombie_793. Later, everybody. Have a great week.
Sweetie, good to see you, buddy. Well, ladies and gerbils, that leaves the rest of us. Unfortunately, I cannot see the chat right now, so I'll just guess that there are lots of cool folks in the chat. And hello to all of you. You're awesome, every one of you, except for you. Well, you're actually twice as awesome. You thought I was going to say you're bad. No, you're twice as good. Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, or thanks rather for watching the show. Don't catch us next time on the I don't know why I'm talking this weirdly. Catch us next time on the takeover. That'll be super fun. I'm not sure if I'll be here or not. I guess I'll still be in town, so I don't know. Maybe I'll hang out on the takeover. We'll see. You guys are welcome, of course, as always, to come join us. As always, the rules have changed a little bit. You know, not only don't be a dick, don't show your dick, don't be a douchebag, etc., etc. But ask nicely if you can join in the chat. I think that's reasonable these days, and I'm sure we'll say yes. You know what I mean? Unless there's some specific reason, like, oh, you're a vampire, and we can tell that already, or it's just obvious that you're a barbarian at the gate. Like, oh, that would be weird. You know, I don't want to be invaded barbarians. Like, oh yeah, seriously, like, or zombies. I mean, shit. Holy cow! I mean, come on. These are gimmies. You know, we're not gonna let in a horde of zombies or some shit. But if you're not a zombie or a barbarian or whatever else, you don't have ill intentions, you're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Hop on in. But in the meantime, go visit my website, of course, ladies and gerbils, fumidoro.com, FUMIDORO.com. You can also type fumesofgold.com. That'll redirect to the same place. And I would very much recommend you check out Sour on Lime River Rose version 2. Actually, that one you'll have to request. Just basically click Lime River Rose and just ask for Lime River Rose version 2. Gapper Tape is one of the newer ones that I also recommend. 70-day crosses. The Sour Morgana is a 60-day cross. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think you know the drill. Check out the merch as well. And of course, don't forget to use the coupon code RAINS. How's that pronounced, D?
Rain.
All right. Save yourself 14% off, ladies and gentlemen. Why not? It's a loyalty discount. You might as well use it. Thanks very much for joining us, my friends. Don't forget to puff something wonderful. And of course, be kind, be decent, be gentle. Don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics, ladies and gentlemen. And catch you guys on the flip side. Later, gators, and deep fried taters.